So here at the Tucson International Airport with Derk De Korver, newest member of the Timex Multisport team, just enjoying our lattes. And so I want to introduce you to this gentleman here. He's a rookie triathlete with the Timex Multisport team, not a rookie triathlete. So with that in mind, where are you from and what do you do when you're not doing triathlon?
So I'm from the Netherlands, but I'm fortunate enough to live in San Francisco. So when I'm not doing triathlon, I'm drinking a lot of coffee. And I also have a full-time job. I work in Silicon Valley for a big tech company. I'm in the online ads industry. So that takes up a lot of my time when I'm not training, as well as having a girlfriend, spending that quality time with the ones you love. So yeah, that's how I get by, but definitely a lot of my time goes into training.
What brought you here? Was it the job in the first place to the States?
Yeah, correct. The job brought me to San Francisco.
What's your education?
I have a master's degree in strategic management from Tilburg University in the Netherlands.
Growing up, big family, little family?
Big family. We're six. I have three brothers, and then obviously my parents. So yeah, my mom had her challenges along the way, but yeah, it was fun.
Where do you fit into the brothers?
I'm second. Yeah.
And are any of the other brothers endurance athletes?
Not at the moment, but they're all getting started. I guess I pulled the trigger, and now they're all sort of getting into it. So that's exciting.
Activity-wise, what kind of sports did you do growing up?
So I actually don't have much of an athletic background. I'm 32 today.
Today?
No.
Say happy birthday.
Yeah, no. Growing up, I did the PE classes. I tried a bunch of sports like judo, tennis. One sport that I really took a liking to was golf. I played that from age 12 to 18 quite seriously. Then I went to university and had other interests and didn't do much sports. Then when I graduated, I decided I needed to get a little fit because I definitely put on some weight. And I used to be a smoker, so I smoked quite heavily as well. Yeah, so at the age of 27, I decided I needed to get fit. I started doing a bit of running. Then in 2011, I did my first half marathon. 2012, I did 2 full marathons. And then in 2013, I jumped right into Ironman and did Ironman Zurich. So I don't have the swimming or the cycling background. I had to sort of pick up on that along the way.
So with that kind of history, how did you even discover, well, you said you wanted to get in shape. I mean, you're 27, you're a smoker, probably put on a few extra pounds in college, and then how did you discover the idea, or let me sign up for one of these half marathons?
That's a funny story, actually, because my older brother and my dad had signed up for a 10K run, and I was working out at the gym, not really knowing what I was doing, and running here and there, not following a plan or anything, but I'd sort of gotten into it. And then the day of the race, my dad got sick and asked if I wanted to take his place. So I said, well, sure, why not? I'd never done 10K, but I decided to give it a shot, and I did a decent time. I did it in 45 minutes, which when I was just starting out, I thought was pretty amazing, and sort of caught the bug from there, and did plenty more 10K races. Moved up to 16K, then the half, and the rest is history.
Did you take to running as a natural extension of your athletic ability?
Yeah, that's sort of what that's what I discovered. Then I'm like, wow, I placed pretty well in this race, and I don't think I've trained as much as the others, so this must be some sort of natural talent I have, and I sort of build out from there.
So, and your lifestyle, your healthy lifestyle, had been changed from that point forward, right? I mean, what did you do differently once you started running with your health?
Definitely, at the beginning, I didn't change all that much to going out, hang out with the friends, doing what a late 20-year-old guy does. But once I got more into half marathons and full marathons, that's when I stopped going out as much, definitely reduced drinking. I quit smoking at some point. I did my first marathon and I was still smoking. Yeah. But at a certain, and I did that, my first one I did in 3:15. And I thought to myself, well, if I quit smoking, what are the possibilities? And I went sub 3 on my second one. And that's when someone said, well, hey, Derek, that running thing you're doing, that's pretty cool, but I do Ironman, and this was a colleague at work as well, so we were pretty competitive. So I thought, well, I accept your challenge.
Where did this competitive bug come from? If you weren't that involved in, playing golf is a very disciplined sport, but then, college, things kind of slide, and then you discover running, and then someone says the word Ironman, and then this competitive light bulb goes off?
I don't know. I don't really consider myself very competitive, but I guess in this scenario, it was more of a dare, like to sort of check. I thought to myself, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it as well. So I was just trying to see what my boundaries were, and that's how I got into Ironman.
So this whole 3:15 for a marathon as a smoker, no one does that. What kind of training did you do beforehand when you're smoking a pack a day?
Luckily I wasn't smoking a pack a day, but I don't know, I was following a training that a friend had passed on to me. It was, like one interval training, one sort of longer session during the week, and then in the weekend, the real miles. And if I wanted, I could do another fourth run. That was sort of the schedule that I was following, and it worked well for me. And it's actually when anybody asks me for a program, I just send them that same program still to this day.
Doesn't smoking get in the way of getting out there and feeling ready and refreshed to do another run?
Totally. I noticed that the day that I quit. Like, you just feel so much better, and like it doesn't take you as long to get into the zone. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life.
Was it a cultural thing in the Netherlands to be smoking?
For sure, yeah. I think especially in university, you're away from your parents, and everybody lets loose a bit and experiments. So it was definitely a cultural thing.
Okay, let's talk about this Ironman and this dare that was handed to you in 2013. You said maybe?
Yeah.
So what was the point forward at that point? I mean, you've been given some sort of training program for marathons. So did you seek out a coach? How did you get to where you start building your knowledge of the swim and the bike?
Absolutely. Like, I was pretty ambitious. So I did my marathon in October 2011. I was living in Ireland at the time, so it was the Dublin Marathon. And when I was sort of dared to do this, I signed up for Zurich, which was only like 10 months away. And, not having ever done a triathlon, I figured, okay, I'd signed up on a whim, and only like maybe 2 days later I realized, damn, this is far, and I figured, okay, I got to seek out some help. So I hired a fantastic coach at SportsMed Ireland. I'm still in touch with those guys today, and they sort of paved the way. I'd never swam, so I took some swimming lessons, but the main thing I took to that quite naturally as well. The main thing for me is the bike. Even though I'm from the Netherlands and we basically grow up on bikes, there's a huge difference between doing a road race compared to just commuting to work.
What was the reputation in your mind when you started when you heard the word Ironman?
I was super nervous and excited about it, and like the reputation, I didn't know any Ironman. Like,
you didn't think automatically Hawaii Ironman?
No, not at all. I had never even heard of Ironman until I suppose I was a bit ignorant, and then living in my own little bubble. But I hadn't really even given it much thought. And then I started reading up on it, and there's one book which I absolutely love by Chrissy Wellington, Life Without Limits, and like just reading through that got got me even more excited and even more dedicated to my training. And by that, after reading that book, I knew how serious the race was and what sort of history, rich history it had. So I got a lot more respect.
Was there anything in that book that you identified that helped motivate you, inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. Chrissy Wellington only started doing triathlon at the age of 27, which was sort of the age that I started to get into sports. And look at all that she achieved in that short period of time. So I thought, well, people have done it.
Yes.
And so that's definitely something that I related to. And yeah.
So now you've got you know the distance is 2.5 miles basically of swimming and the 112 miles of cycling. You have the marathon stuff down. Now, putting it all together, you said you took pretty well to swimming, got the bike, and you're still within 10 months or so, 9 months until the race day. Do you do any starter triathlons, any shorter ones?
Yeah, I started with a duathlon, and this was like February in Ireland, so it was like super cold, and that was exciting because it was my first time that I'd have to do a transition. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. Oh, how do I do this? And practice in my living room. And from there, I signed up for an Olympic and a half Ironman. I did Mallorca was my first branded Ironman race, and did another half Ironman in Ireland.
This is quite the initiation. Before your first Ironman, you're doing all these other races.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just, again, I was training with a great group, and they really, they'd been doing it for a while, and they just really took me under their wing, and, I just followed their lead and just thought, okay, this is normal, and I was just signing up for whatever they were signed up for, and, they initiated me, I guess, in quite a hard way.
What's the one memory that stands out when I say your first triathlon?
So my best memory was the second half Ironman that I did in Ireland. It wasn't Ironman branded. It was half Ironman Skerries, and it was a horrible day. We got out to the swim, and it's in the Irish Sea, so it's super cold. It was extremely choppy. We were all concerned that are we actually going to swim in this? So it was really that bad. And my coach had also signed up for that same race, and I still do look up to him tremendously. And on this race, we got out of the water, he was just slightly in the lead of me. And, when we got out of transition, I was actually pretty much on his wheel. But he's such a phenomenal cyclist that he lost me on the bike, but not by as much as I thought that he would crush me. And what was awesome was his run is not as strong as mine. So during the half marathon, I could see him, a couple of miles ahead of me, and I could see him. And slowly, I was getting closer, and it all ended up in a sprint for the finish between the two of us. And
a finish for the race, or just between you two?
He took second, I took third. So but it was hilarious because he could see me catching up with him, and we crossed that finish line within milliseconds of each other, and we just both crashed to the ground laughing as hard as we could. He peed his pants of laughter. It was so fun. So that's a fond memory I have.
That's a great first experience.
Yeah.
So this is all in 2013, right? This is your 2013 inaugural season as a triathlete, and now the Ironman is here. Talk about that day. Can you walk me through that day?
Obviously a bucket of nerves. It's the first time that you really put all those distances together. It was Zurich, and we were actually having a heat wave. So a race which is in Lake Zurich and has always been wetsuit legal, suddenly the day before the race they announced that it's a non-wetsuit race. So that sort of throws you off. But I'd bought a speed suit the day before, so never tried that out. But it worked out, I guess, during the race. I think it might have been a bit too big, actually.
A year first for you, right?
Yeah. But the race itself, it was a beautiful day. My parents came to see me. My best friends from the Netherlands were there, so I had a whole support group, and that was actually a race where you were allowed to accept help from supporters. So they had like special aid stations. So I had them all set out across the course to hand me my bottles. I didn't want to use the bottles on the course, so I had them. I've changed that strategy today because actually my dad, there was someone wearing the same kit as I was, so he gave that person my bottles. So like this was like halfway through the race, and I was expecting to get like 2 new bottles, and he only had 1. And I turned to him, I'm like, Dad, what's this? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, there was someone wearing the same suit. He was almost crying. And he actually he was there on his motorbike, and he literally like drove to the next aid station to give me another bottle. By that time, I had already gotten a new one, but it was...
How great was it to have your dad there on the course?
Fantastic. It was, I have such a great memory of my dad and my mom being there, and just how excited they were for me. You know, they were doing so much work for me, like telling me like where I was positioned in the race. Even to this day, I'm at a more competitive level, so they're doing like research on like who I'm racing against, you know, what their times are, and it means a lot when my family's there with me on a race.
So you're in the bike section right here. Dad comes up and gives you your second bottle at the next aid station. How's that bike leg finish?
I actually crashed. I fell. It was at an aid station. I don't know, the guy in front of me just suddenly stopped, and luckily I wasn't going too fast, but I hit my head, and my bike fell in a weird way that it bent my rear derailleur inwards, and I still had 2 climbs to go, but I wasn't able to use my lowest gears, because if I would, my derailleur would be caught in the wheel and would just break. So it was a tough last half of the bike leg, but I got through it. I'm happy I carried on. I was bleeding a little bit, but that's part of Ironman. You got
part of the storytelling too.
Got to man up.
Right.
And I got off the bike, and I always look forward to the run, because that's where it's frustrating for me not being a strong cyclist and seeing all these stronger guys pass me, but I look forward to the run, to at least catching some of them back. And Lake Geneva, it was awesome. Lake Zurich. It was like I said, it was a hot day. It was not wetsuit legal. We were looking at about 100 degrees, and not a whole lot of shade. But yeah, the run is the run. You just got to get through that.
So, the last kilometer, the last mile, we always talk about that finishing chute. What do you remember, and do you remember seeing anybody?
Well, I remember that I was in the last kilometer, and I told my parents, listen, when I pass by like this last time, that's when you guys got to start heading towards the finish, because otherwise you won't see me finish. And then I passed by this spot, and I was looking at my watch. I'm like, guys, you should be at the finish. I'm finishing now, and I just saw the panic in their eyes, and unfortunately they didn't see me finish, so they were a little upset about that. But no, that last sort of kilometer, it doesn't matter how tired you are. That's when you get like that, I don't know, 3rd or 4th wind, and you just push through it. And crossing that finish line for the first time was very emotional. It was a real emotional roller coaster that first year. Yeah.
And then you walk through, and then are you just taking it in? Is everything starting to shut down? Do you remember the exhaustion setting in?
Yeah, that was a sensational feeling, actually. Yeah. Not in a good way. No, I crossed the finish line, and you're very emotional, and you're getting your medal, and that's awesome. And then 5 minutes after, my body just shut down, and it's like in that area where only athletes are allowed, and I think I must have lay there for about 15 minutes just taking in what had happened that day and what I put myself through. But it was awesome, and to hear the commentators say you are an Ironman, that's something that I was looking forward to all day. Yeah.
What was the date exactly in 2013 when this happened?
I think it was the end of July.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So you recover. You take some time off. You have to recover. What is your game plan now that you've accomplished this huge 9-10 month lead up to finish an Ironman?
Well, what I did was I threw a huge party because I actually, when I just started training for Ironman, I'd moved in with like new roommates, and we'd moved in together because we'd partied a lot together and we enjoyed each other's company. And then I come along like 2 weeks after we moved into this fantastic place. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm not going to be partying as much as I thought I would be. I'm going to do this Ironman thing. So as soon as I got back, I threw a big party and invited everybody that I'd probably been neglecting a little bit over those past 9 months. And it's actually at that party where I met my current girlfriend. Great. Yeah. So we've been together now a little over 2.5 years.
So bring me up to speed, in some bullet points from that point after that Ironman to this point here, because now you're on the biggest, best, longest running triathlon team in the world. This is a very special honor to be a part of the Timex Multisport team. How did you go from there, where you were a smoker a couple years earlier, to doing your first Ironman, and now you're at this level?
Well, it was after the first Ironman. I finished, I don't know, like 10.5 hours, something along those lines. First one. And, people were telling me that's a decent time, man. You got Kona, and people start saying that to me. I'm like, what, really? And,
Was it the group that you're training with?
Yeah. My coach said, there's Kona potential there. Mm-hmm. And,
Did you understand what that meant?
At that moment, I did, but I didn't quite grasp that. At what how could what I did at Zurich be a predictor of being at that level? I didn't see myself at that level yet, but just that people said that to me, got me onto the dream. Well, you know what? Maybe. I've done this now for the first year. I know there's a lot of places I can improve, and I started chasing Kona from the moment I finished that first Ironman, actually, and. Just a recap of sort of what I did since then. I moved from Ireland to San Francisco, so I started doing some U.S.-based races. First one being Louisville in 2014. And I finished sixth in my age group, missed the slot by one, so that was a little frustrating. And then I decided, well, I got some energy left for this year, so I did Arizona, finished seventh, and there are 5 slots, so again, just missed it, and I wasn't upset at all, really. I mean, of course, a little bummed, but that did show me, oh my God, you are within reach of going to Kona, and so for 2015. I decided, okay, I'm going to do one race, and I'm going to bet on this race. And I selected my race based on what I thought my skills were. I tend to do well in very hot races. I'm a small guy, so I prefer hilly over flats because otherwise the big guys will crush me. So I signed up for Cabo in Mexico, and that was a fantastic race for me. It was extremely hot. I think 100 degrees, maybe a little bit more. Got some good hills in there. I'd had a whole year to train for that pretty much, and I really improved on my swim. I took a new coach because I moved to the U.S. And we really focused on my cycling, so strengthened up there. By improving my cycling, my running improved as well. And on race day, I was so surprised because I got out of the water. I PR'd. I'd never gone under an hour, and now I was 57 minutes. So I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And I'm out on the bike course, and there was no one around me, and I'm like, what is this? Am I
on course?
Yeah, exactly. I thought I took a wrong turn, and then I saw like a couple of people, and But I did really well on that bike race. Like bike leg, I came off the bike with about 15 minutes lead on the second person in my age group. Who
Huge lead.
It's a huge lead, and I had done my research, so I knew who he was. Actually, part of the Timex factory team, so that was fun.
The person who was behind second.
Yeah, and I sort of figured that my run might be a bit stronger than his, so I had big.
Even so, you had 30 seconds a mile on him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I had ambitions to maybe do a little faster run than I did, but I guess with such a comfortable lead, and check in the whole time as you pass each other. Okay, has he sped up or not? So yeah, that was bizarre because I sort of knew I had Kona in the pocket coming off of the bike, and that was bizarre because I wish it was more gratifying when I crossed the finish line, but I'd already had like 3+ hours to sort of let that sink in. So that was phenomenal. Like I mean, I was super happy, obviously, once I crossed that finish line, and yeah, I'm going to Kona.
And was your girlfriend with you in Cabo?
She was, yeah. So she was. It was actually the first full Ironman that she'd seen me do. So it was. I always I don't sympathize with the supporters, but it's a tough day for them as well. Following you around, tracking, and it was 100 degrees, so I sort of feel like when you're going fast, you don't really feel the heat, but if you're standing out there, so I'm extremely grateful that she was there, and it was emotional as well. I came off the bike and she's like, "Dad, you're in the lead, like 15 minutes," and I'm like, I know. I almost started crying then. So it was awesome having her there, and then also the downtime afterwards. Nice little holiday there.
And she gets it. I mean, sometimes the spouses or significant others, some don't really have someone who's involved in the sport, and this is a very unique community and lifestyle that we have to lead to be successful or to even accomplish the end results.
Yeah, she's great. She I don't want to say lets me train. She understands that I want to train, and she's got I love it. She's got her own passions, which also require a lot of time. So we do try to time that accordingly, so that we do have some time together as well. So she goes out and does her thing, and I go out and train at those times as well. Or if we're on holiday, I'll just make sure I get up super early, get my workouts in, and then we have the rest of the day together. But she's very understanding. She's super proud. She's always talking to her friends about me, which makes me feel good.
It's great to have that kind of support. And Roger and I have talked about this many times about trying to find that balance. And you being a fairly young guy, new into the sport, any advice to others on making relationships or family work as a multi-sport athlete at a high or long distance level?
I think it's extremely important to understand that in some way or form you're being a little bit selfish. So every opportunity that you have to be able to give something back, take that, because it's very much appreciated. I think if you're in a relationship, I think it's tough. Like, I think when I started Ironman, people threw around the word Iron Widow to me, and I didn't understand that at the time, but now that I'm like very serious about the sport, I truly understand that we're away a lot. I'd say try to get in your trainings as much as you can during the week, so that you have as much of the weekend together.
One thing, maybe you've already learned it or you heard about it during our team camp this week, but maybe you have some other advice, is as a brand ambassador or a sponsored athlete, the role of the athlete to their sponsors and or the community. What is it that you do that makes you brand ambassador worthy, for a lack of a better term?
What I do, so one thing that I've done in the past, I'm actually doing now as well. I work with Team in Training, which is Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So it's a charity, and they help train fundraisers to prepare for a triathlon. So I'm a training coach on on that charity team, helping people prepare for Lava Man, which is an Olympic distance race on Kona. So I'll be going there in a couple of weeks, which will be fun. That's stuff I do. I have a newsletter where I try to give some tips, feature some athletes, give them some praise. It doesn't matter what level. I think everybody who's practicing the sport is putting in a lot of hours, and that deserves recognition. And I guess I'm really trying to use my social media channels to promote this great brand like Timex. To me, it's I'm so happy to be on this team, and I've learned so much about the history. They've been sponsoring Ironman since the very beginning, pretty much. So. I'm definitely a big supporter of them, and try every opportunity I have to get people to embrace their products, which are great for the sport.
So, what's ahead in 2016 for Derk?
So starting off with Lava Man, then I have another Olympic distance race. I'll do Folsom, which is in the sort of Bay Area. Then I will do Donner Lake, which is not Ironman branded, but it's a half Ironman distance race. Then I am qualified for the World Championships half Ironman in Australia, which I'm going to try and do. And I'll also be doing Kona in October, and I'm going to try and follow that up with Ironman Cozumel to see if I can qualify again for 2017.
At this rate, at this speed of success in the sport, finding, there's a lot of similarities between you and Chrissy Wellington, which is huge praise. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
So, yeah, that's a very good question, because I guess like right now I'm just trying to see how good I am at the moment, and seeing what I can improve on. I mean, you were at this camp, and I thought I was good, but then I meet all these phenomenal athletes, and I still have a long ways to go to reach those levels. So, but I'm just gonna try. I within the next 5 years, I'll definitely still be doing Ironman every year, and hopefully be getting faster and faster. I'm betting on the bike.
There you go. Well, it's been great meeting you. Thank you for sharing your story, your time, your insight to the sport, and congratulations on changing your lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle. And I think it's an inspiration to a lot of people to know that, much like Chrissy, that not coming from an endurance sports background, maybe not living a healthy lifestyle with being overweight a little bit, smoking, that you can change it around. It's never too late, and you can find success. Just get out there and try.
Absolutely. Happy to have told my story. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
I love it.